Hello everyone, good afternoon. This is Ranjan, co-founder of Learnyst, and I warmly welcome you all for this episode of Learnyst Success Talks. And today I have with me Rajesh Balasubramanian, who is founder of 2IM, and it's a privilege and honor to have you, Rajesh. A warm welcome to you for this webinar.
Many thanks for having me here, Ranjan. And it's always glad to have a chat with you. Many thanks. I'm thrilled to be here. Carry on.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you. Same here. Same here. So, Rajesh, you have cracked some of these competitive exams. I mean, the most toughest competitive exams in India, like IITs and IIM, and you have been a graduate from this. So, was it a dream for you to get into this topic?
Honestly, no. In the sense that people say you think about this for a long time. My father's worked in a bank, so I studied in different school every 2 years. So I grew up in many places. So I knew about something called as IIT only when I was in class 10. So back then, it was not such a big deal. So people used to prepare for it for 2 years, 11th and 12th. So I went for these JEE coaching classes because everybody in my class went. And after we prepared for a year and a half, we realized that, okay, maybe we had a shot at writing this exam and clearing it. So it was one of those autopilot things which happened. You go to the classes, you start doing all right. Then you say, okay, let me just take this exam seriously. And then it happened. The awareness or the general knowledge about JEE was not this as how it is now 20 years ago. I took my JEE in 1997 and it makes me feel old. But back then it was an interesting exam to prepare for. It's a tough exam. It's known for all that, but it's not a childhood dream in any form. That's about it.
Got it. Okay.
As far as CAT was concerned, I was not a great engineer. I didn't really enjoy engineering, so I kept my head above water. I didn't flunk courses. I was doing okay, all right academically, but never a star engineer. But I definitely wanted to do a post graduation. Therefore, it became the MBA CAT thing. So it was a set of default decisions. So I wanted to do. I come from South India, from Chennai. Mm-hmm. So you finish 12th standard, you do engineering. That's how Chennai is. And if you're in certain schools, certain gangs, you prepare for JEE. So I did that, and then after that, post graduation was always a part of the plan, and therefore many of my friends wrote the GRE and went and did their MS. I didn't want to do that, so MBA it became. So it was a set of default decisions, not one long cherished dream of any type. I always liked teaching, so I used to take classes even when I was in Chennai, off and down. Wherever I could lay my hands on some students to meet, I liked teaching. And I simply did not like banking. I was not taken in by equities or stock market or analysis or derivatives or any of those things. But there was a chance to return to India and I took it. So when I came back to India, the entrepreneurial thing or the teaching thing was not there as part of the immediate plan. So I came back to India with an idea that I will look and explore. In many ways, my banking career set me up and gave me the freedom for that. So for all the complaints I have about the banking industry, the one thing they do really well is pay. So 4 years of banking set me up for at least another 2-3 years of trying something on my own, which I'm grateful for. But I always knew I wanted to do something related to teaching. So I wanted to teach for school kids for math. My thing. It didn't work out straight away because I wanted to have something as a base before building for that, which as it turned out was CAT. So we started the CAT coaching thing back in 2010. For about 4 or 5 years, we did the classroom business, then shifted online. And then we started investing back into the school business as well. But reason why I wanted to go on this journey, I like teaching. So it was not a very complicated decision. I didn't like banking. And I knew at some point of time I was going to come back to teaching. It would have happened when I was in my 20s or 30s or 40s. Luckily enough, it happened when I was in 20s.
Okay, nice. So you started 2IM in 2010, right? 2010.
2IM was, the brand was already there. It was run by Bhaskar, my colleague. But by 2010, he had CAT, GMAT and GRE. And he was spending almost all his time building the GMAT GRE business. So I kind of took over the CAT 2IM brand, and we still work together. So we're practically one organization, but with multiple brands. See, for when you're preparing for a competitive exam, the tangible goal at the end of the journey is to clear that exam. That is there. So the market defined success is very clear. If you're writing JE, you have to clear JE. If you're writing your half early exams, you have to do well in them. So whatever it is, you need to one exam and a turning point is there. But you ask me the learning journey, there is a certain fun element or joy in learning something thoroughly, intuitively, very clearly, so that it lays and sits in your mind in a certain fashion. So I'm a big fan of learning from first principles, learning in with what the script is, the sequence in which you understand things. I think the big distinguishing factor among people for success in their corporate careers is how much clarity they have, how they take an information and process it. So if you ask me, like the human brain is about processing power, some amount of hard drive for storage, and a set of apps that you load on. The processing power is what I'm most interested in building, especially for young students. Hard drive is what you know. Do you know what the capital of this is? You know what the pin code of that is? All that. Apps is okay. I'm good at Python. I'm good at coding. I'm good at defining a consumer message. I understand this piece of technology or this aspect of business understanding. So I think the younger you are, the more you should focus on building the processing power. How you can take an information and process. How much clarity do you have? How do you take information in a question or a case study or an article that you read or a book that you read or a business that you run and store it in your mind differently so that you make sense of the overall picture. The other thing is very often learning is construed as something which is a means to an end. I kind of am uncomfortable with that assumption. It's a fun process done the right way. So if your objectives are clear and you're keen to do the process and you can define the process in a way where it is fun in your mind, then it's not a drag. I think we need to structure it as saying, okay, this is fun. I'm learning something new. So sometimes we add fun as if it were an external factor. The process of learning itself should be fun, and mentally and pedagogy wise, that's how it should be built. And that's, if you ask me, what are the two things that we at 2IIM focus on? One is we try to build everything intuitively so that it falls well in your mind. Whether it's 2IIM or PyVerb, that's a priority area. Two, we say, look, enjoy what you're doing, have some fun while learning. And that reflects in everything that we do. Everything that we do is linked towards these two objectives. And someone learns intuitively and with fun, we think that's a success. The bigger battle online is to make them, bring them, drag them to the table to consume the course. And that's going to be that is a big challenge. The biggest challenge in online education is the nudge for students to come and take the course. We're trying to amp up that game where you can't really pitch to them based on the course because they're not coming there. They've not yet come to see the course. I'm confident that once they come and turn up and learn, they'll take value. But how do we make sure that they come to the course? So now we have several mechanisms. We guilt trip them with emails saying we've not seen you for a while. We put them as part of some WhatsApp group which we keep pinging them. We have sessions online practically once a week, twice a week these days to have classes which are already available here, but we do this live classes as well on top of that. So we take all of these to nudge them and prod them to come and consume the course. No sanctity to the top colleges. You can go places in your life without having graduated from any of the top colleges. Not restricted to the IITs or IIM. We talk about Harvard, Wharton, Stanford. You see the number of successful businessmen or tech people. The number of people outside of these colleges is huge. They have inspirational stories to tell. I'm not decrying these colleges. These colleges are great. If you get a chance to go and study in an IIM, Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Calcutta, it is going to make a difference. They're good colleges, no doubt about it. But they're not the only routes to success or doing something meaningful. So it's more a chase of saying, look, I'm going to give this a shot. If everything goes and falls on my lap and I go to a great college, great. It doesn't happen. I'm not going to college number 3, but I'm going to college number 9. Big deal. It simply doesn't matter. You can learn meaningfully in college number 9 or 19 or 29. If you throw in your effort into it, you can you can take value from it. A lot of learning is heavily linked to the amount of effort the individual puts in, not just what the system provides. This is true for classroom or online. Most of learning is based on how much effort you can put into the learning process. So it's not a loss at all. To it, one is, I would say, the structure, the framework of how your content is, especially online. Because in classes you get multiple chances to fix if something goes wrong. In online, your structure should just be ultra clear. How am I teaching? What is my flow? What is my plan for delivering this content? Should be ultra clear. Otherwise, things can go wrong. Two is pedagogy. How do I break down an idea? It should be as natural as possible. You need to own the content. And the third thing is raw enthusiasm and passion while teaching. And it should be clear that you completely like what you're doing. I think one of my analogies, one of my teachers used to say, there used to be Doordarshan News. DD used to offer news. And then the newer channels came. And the difference between DD News and this news, in DD they read the news to you. In these guys, they tell the news to you. Very simple verb change, but it's dramatically different. So that difference, so you have a PowerPoint presentation and you're observing things and listing them down, or you're talking with like you own the content, that makes a big difference. And the pedagogy has to be defined, but the energy shouldn't be dialed down. So it's a nice, both need to be there. One without the other is dicey. You need to think about the analogy, the structure, the flow, and you need to deliver the final bit like you completely own the content. Both are important. And very often I find that teachers who spend a lot of time in the structure dial down their enthusiasm, and who are heavily reliant on their flair don't spend enough time putting the structure together. Both are important. You need to have a good structure and you need to add that layer of flair on top of it, because attention spans are shrinking. You need to have them. They need to be there to take the value. But it does not have to be gimmicky. It does not have to be dramatic. It does not have to be, song and dance. Now our primary focus is how many students are consuming the course. In terms of metrics, the one thing that I'm particular about to track is course consumption, which is how many hours of courses have you consumed, how many classes or tests what have you scored, and how many have you taken. That is a metric, tangible statistic that we keep tracking aggressively, and we want to get better and better at that with more detail thrown in. What we want to achieve is for them to not have a phobia about mathematics, for mathematical ideas being in their mind like as friendly ideas that can be spoken of, conversed intuitively, colloquially. Them to be comfortable with analogies and ideas underlying mathematics and not think of it as a bunch of formulae and equations. So it's a slightly difficult to define term, but we want them to have an intuitive grasp of mathematics rather than a formulaic computative grasp of mathematics. No specific secret, Tarun. I'm sorry to disappoint you if you're looking for a bunch of tricks. I'm as I said, I'm very anal about learning from first principles, learning from absolute basics. My exam taking approach is very similar, very boring. Learn really well, show up with intensity, take joy in the process of taking the exam. I absolutely work myself up before the exam. I like the idea of going and taking this exam. I'm enthusiastic on D-Day. I can't start soon enough. Those kind of things help me be relaxed on the exam. I'm looking forward to the exam, but I'm relaxed at it. So that adding those things, I would say, is something to add on to improve your performance. But there's no secret sauce. There isn't. Otherwise, I'll be getting it more frequently. So there isn't.
Sure, Rajesh. Yeah, thanks for this answering these questions, and I'm sure there's a lot of insight there, both for the students, for the teachers. So thanks for sharing your ideas, your thoughts. So it was really a great conversation altogether.
Thank you. Many thanks for being a lovely, engaging tech provider for us. They always come to Bangalore, have a chat with you guys. It gives us more clarity and more energy to try many different things. And thanks for having me on this on the session as well.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you. The pleasure is all ours. Thank you very much.